Welcome back for another episode of the FC Magdeburg Career Mode Rebuild. We're currently sitting 5th in the Bundesliga and are still alive in the Europa League. So this is the team that has us sitting 5th place currently in the Bundesliga. At the end of last episode, we got some exciting news that Jensen and Meyer were rejoining the club from their very successful loan deals, and they will be starting on the bench, but especially in Jensen's case, I can see him slotting into the starting 11 very soon. And seeing how it is January, that means the transfer window is open, and I think there's one move we need to get done right away. And that move would be bringing back on a permanent deal Samuel Illing Jr. He's played so well for us so far in this career mode. We're bringing him back in for £20 million. It's an A rating. He's valued at 24 million, so I'm happy that Aston Villa took the deal. And I think that's all we'll be doing, at least for now, in the January transfer window. Taking a look at the calendar, as you can see, we have a very, very busy month of January that awaits us. We have 7 games in the span of 22 days, including games against Bayern Leverkusen and Bayern Munich in the league, and tough opponents in Lille and Shakhtar Donetsk in the Europa League. So we have a lot to get through in this episode, so without any further ado, let's jump into the first set of highlights. To match day 16, where we'd welcome in Bayern Leverkusen. It'd be a big day for the youngster Simon Jensen, who would get his first start for the club and the fans showing his appreciation. It wouldn't get off to a good start though, however, as Victor Boniface would be played in behind the Magdeburg defense and he scores in the top corner. What a strike, 1-0 Leverkusen. However, Magdeburg would answer back quickly as the ball into Minamino would be only half dealt with, and it falls to, of course, the youngster Jensen, who scores his first goal for the club. It's 1-1. Leverkusen would get the lead back right before the half, with Dejan Kulusevski scoring to make it 2-1. However, with even less time before the half, it would be Jensen becoming provider as he'd find Minamino, who's behind the D, and scores, making it 2-2. What a partnership this is looking like to be. Minamino and Jensen. We draw Leverkusen at home. Oh wait, spoke too soon. That one game saw a monster deal from Barcelona coming in for Jensen. He's already gone, unfortunately. See you later. Now to Bayern Munich. With the tough news of losing our promising young striker, we'd have to face Bayern, and it would be one promising young striker to an established striker, as Harry Kane scores with absolutely no room, making it 1-0 Bayern Munich. And late in the game, this would be our best chance to equalize, as we Hateboer plays the ball over the top for Davy Selke. He gets by Rudiger, but his shot goes just wide of the post. Jumping over to a couple sim results, we had a 1-1 tie against Freiburg, and then a disappointing 2-1 loss at home to Frankfurt. Now back to the highlights for the Europa League, where we're taking on Lille at home. There'd only be one goal in this game, and whenever anything goes good for Magdeburg in the Europa League, it usually comes from one man, and it was no different this time around, as Said Benrahma would get a nice through ball, and he scores with his left foot, making it 1-0, giving Magdeburg all 3 points with a huge win in Europa League. We continue in Europa League, this time against Shakhtar Donetsk away. It would be a get out of jail free card that usually works for Magdeburg, as we Illing Jr., who steals the ball from the defender, plays in Davy Selke. This time he's able to slot it by the keeper, making it 1-0. Donetsk basically dominated this game from start to finish, or at least start to this point, as Hateboer retrieves the ball, and then a crazy challenge comes in. I don't think this is a straight red, but thankfully for Magdeburg, the ref would see it in another way, and Newerton was sent off straight red, and we'd hold on for the 1-0 win. Back-to-back wins in Europa League. We'd have one last game in the Bundesliga before all hell would break loose on transfer deadline day, and that'd be a 2-0 loss to Stuttgart away. And another one I didn't want to sell, but 2 German clubs came in asking for him, so luckily enough there was an Italian team that was there as well, so we ended up selling the Felix Werner to Torino for £4.5 million. Another enforced move with Olivier Deman going to Wolfsburg for £14 million. And finally, we'd be losing Gabriel Meyer, another one of our youngsters, this time to Juventus for £25 million. So we have to move quickly to have a replacement for Simon Jensen, and I think we did just that. We've gotten Paris Brunner from RB Leipzig for £44 million. He comes in at 80 overall rated, and I think it's going to help out the team a lot. We then look to Riddle Baku to try to prove the right back position. We'd get him from RC Lens for £18 million, and I think it's a major upgrade in the right back position. And then with Deman leaving, we also needed a new left back, and we turn to the Premier League to fill that hole. We'll go for German Luca Netz, who we get from Everton for £20 million. So this is what the team looks like after what has to be the craziest transfer window I've ever been a part of. We had Illing Jr. join permanently at the start of the window, then we had Brunner, Nets, and Baku all come in right before transfer deadline day. But after all the moves, I think this team is looking pretty good. The one issue that we're dealing with right now is the injury to Udokai, that sees Jalen Neal step in for him next to Robin Koch in the center of defense. Jumping over to the league table, we can see that our Bundesliga form has definitely slipped, and we are currently sitting in 9th position. And while a league title is probably far and away out of reach, with us being 18 points behind Borussia Dortmund, it's not completely crazy to think that we still finish for that 6th or 5th spot like we did last season. Over to the Europa League, you can see that we've made it past the group phase for the first time with FC Magdeburg. We have a tough test in Villarreal in the first round of knockouts. Taking a look at the calendar, it's another jam-packed month, and we'll be giving most of the focus to the Europa League. There are some tough games with Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Leverkusen again. Hopefully we can get some points from those Hamburg and Werder Bremen games. But if we can somehow win this Europa League, I'm going to give all the focus to that while we're still in that tournament. So let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right back into the highlights. So we'll start this sim off with a tough 2-1 loss to Borussia Dortmund away. Then to the first leg of the Europa League, where it's a very positive 1-1 draw on the road. And then we get a huge 2-0 win on the road against Bayern Leverkusen. Now let's switch over to the highlights. So to the second leg, where we welcome Villarreal to the MDCC Arena, and this game would all be about one instance before the 20th minute where a ball would be swung in, it'd only be half dealt with, it would fall to Daoud, who scores past the Villarreal keeper to give Magdeburg the win, and that goal would see them through to the next round. We follow up our big 1-0 win in the Europa League with another 1-0 win over Hamburg, with Moretti getting a late goal to seal all 3 points for Magdeburg. That would be followed up with a disappointing 3-2 loss at home to Werder Bremen. They seem to have our number this season. Then we have a great result against Club Brugge in the next round of Europa League when Baku got us a 2-1 lead on aggregate in the 89th minute. And then this was a really surprising result. I mean, we did start a few of our sub players, but at the same time, a 4-1 loss to 15th place Hoffenheim wasn't on the bingo card. Anyways, now let's try to stay alive in the Europa League. So to the second leg in the round of 16 against Club Brugge on the road. It wouldn't take long for Club Brugge to equal this game 2-2 in aggregate, as Sulis would be played behind our defense and he scores by Ryman, making it 1-0 and 2-2 on aggregate. Into the 71st minute, it would be the home side again who would have the chance to take the lead, as the ball would be played into Tammy Abraham, but Ryman comes out quickly and snatches that ball up. This game would go to extra time, and in the 115th minute, it would be Minamino with the best chance, as on the half volley just goes wide. So it would be off to penalties, and it would be the captain, the man who's come up clutch for us so many times, coming up with not one, but 2 big saves in the penalty shootout to give Matthias Jensen the chance to make Magdeburg go 4 for 4 and advance to the quarterfinals. And he does just that. All 4 shooters for Magdeburg kept their cool. We're off to the next round. After the big penalty shootout win, we'd come crashing down to earth with a 2-1 loss to Mönchengladbach at home. That would be followed up with a 2-2 draw against Union Berlin. Then it'd be Bayern Munich who would come to the MDCC Arena and beat us 3-1. And then another bad defeat to RB Leipzig 3-1 away. With a top 5 finish in the Bundesliga almost completely out of reach, we now focus 100% on the Europa League competition. Back to the highlights. So to the Europa League quarterfinals against Athletic Club. It would be the home side that would get on the board first. As a ball would be played in, Ryman would make a big save initially, but Baku cannot deal with the follow-up chance, and it's headed into the back of the net to give the home side the 1-0 lead. Thankfully, this one would be rescued as right after the restart, Riebaker would play the ball in to Davy Selke, who's stronger than his defender. He gets by the other central defender and slots it between the legs of the keeper, making it 1-1, and that is how the first leg would end. So to the second leg, back at the MDCC Arena, Magdeburg would look to take advantage. Unfortunately, the second leg would start the same as the first, with Athletic Club getting on the board first early on in this one, making it 2-1 on aggregate. However, FC Magdeburg would have an answer yet again, as this time it's Davy Selke who feeds Illing Jr., who's right behind his defender and scores by the keeper, making it 1-1 and 2-2 on aggregate. Then FC Magdeburg would get a huge leg up here, as a very rash challenge from someone already on a yellow would take outside Ben Rama, and obviously this challenge would see a second yellow, as it's Hugo Rincon who's sent off for Athletic Club. FC Magdeburg would be able to take full advantage, and it's going to be again Daoud who gets another massive goal in this tournament, making it 3-2 on aggregate right before the half. An absolutely massive goal for FC Magdeburg. And then to put this one out of reach, it would be late on in the game in the 83rd minute. It'd be Brunner who's played in all by his lonesome, and he scores, making it 3-1 in the game, 4-2 on aggregate. We're off to the semifinals. So taking a look at the league table, with only 5 games remaining, we currently sit in 13th position. We are actually only 6 points back of finishing top 8, but as you can see there, we're only 7 points clear of falling into that relegation playoff. So even though we've made it to the Europa League semi-finals, we can't completely forget about the Bundesliga for the time being. And taking a look at the quarterfinals, you can see there have been some huge upsets in the Europa League. Lille, a team that we were able to beat in the group stage, have knocked out Manchester United. And excuse the way I'm going to pronounce this next team, that Midtjylland have been able to knock out AC Milan. And like I mentioned, we were able to beat Lille in the group stage. We'll have to do it again over 2 games this time as we play them in the semi-finals. So taking a look at the calendar, we have games against Bochum, Augsburg, and Wolfsburg, with a game against Lille sandwiched in between. I'm hoping to at least win 1, preferably 2 of those 3 games in the league. And then the second leg against Lille before games against Nuremberg and Mainz. So with all due respect, we don't have the toughest 5 remaining games in the Bundesliga, so hopefully we should be staying clear of that relegation playoff. So hopefully we can get some big results in the Bundesliga sims, and then we'll jump into the semi-finals against Lille. Well, not off to a good start, as Bochum will beat us 2-0 at home. Then it would be a 1-1 draw against 17th place Augsburg. But then thankfully we get a 2-1 win on the road to Wolfsburg. Now let's get to the semi-finals. So we're off to the semi-finals. We were able to beat Lille in the group stage, but now we look to do it over 2 legs. In the opening leg, it would be Riddelbaku who steals the ball off a throw-in. Even ultimate difficulty still suck at throw-ins, and he would score by the keeper, keeping it himself and making it 1-0 in the 22nd minute. Big goal for FC Magdeburg. Later on in this game, right after the restart, the best chance of the second half would come to Paris Brunner, who tries to make it 2-0, but a big save by the Lille keeper, keeping it 1-0 on aggregate. So now for the second leg, it comes back to FC Magdeburg, comes back to Germany. We try to keep it at least 0-0. So here we go. There's a big chance that it's the captain again, Reimer, coming up big for his club, keeping it 1-0. And then it would be Minamino who comes in, chips it over for Brunner, who has a chance to put it away again, but unfortunately he can't do it. And then things would get a little dicey for Magdeburg as a late challenge here from Daoud. It was questionable. I'm not sure if it's straight red caliber, but that's what the ref sees in this occasion. We are able to keep it 0-0 all the way until the 92nd minute. As the ball comes in, it's saved by Reimer, and it's been able to kept off the line by the Magdeburg defense. We are off to the finals. Jumping back over to the Bundesliga, we'd get a double from Lopez to make sure we win 2-0 on the road to Nuremberg, and this ensures we are far and away from that relegation playoff. So now all the focus is put on this Europa League final. And the last game in the Bundesliga season saw a very entertaining 3-3 draw at home. Now off to the Europa League final. Here we go. This is what it's all about. It's FC Magdeburg taking on Real Betis. There you see the ultimate prize. In the 33rd minute, it would be Betis who gets their first chance of the game, but they ring it off the crossbar. Magdeburg escape. Right before the half, it would be Illing Jr. linking up with Baku, who squares the ball for Brunner, who scores the biggest goal for FC Magdeburg up until this point, 1-0 Magdeburg. Into the second half, it would be Betis looking to square this game again. I'm not sure how he's onside here, but the ball goes off the bar and out again. Magdeburg would hold on for the epic 1-0 win. The underdogs have done it this entire tournament, and they hold on for yet another win. Magdeburg have really earned this trophy. It has been result after result of just skinning it out. And of course, it's going to be the captain, Reimer, lifting this trophy. FC Magdeburg are Europa League champions. Now, taking a look at the Bundesliga league table, FC Magdeburg finished in 12th. Now, obviously, if we didn't win the Europa League, that would be a major disappointment, but with all things considered, I don't think it's that bad. And you can also see that the Bundesliga seems to be very clustered, as we actually only finished 5 points back of a top 7 spot. So all in all, I think it was a really good season. And this is the main reason why This is our biggest win. Obviously, the Europa League is a huge accomplishment. So I'm very happy we were able to bring this home with the first time of asking. It was super difficult, but we're champions. We also had Real Madrid beat Valencia 1-0 for the UEFA Champions League. And it would be Newcastle that would beat Latium 3-2 for the conference. Jumping over to take a look at some of the stats for this season, it was Said Benrahma with 11 goals and 3 assists who led the way. Davy Selke finished the year with 11 goals and he was injured for about the last month. So still a very good season from him. And you can also see then after that, there's Lopez with 7, Gradowski with 5, then 4, 4, 4, 3, 3. There's a lot of depth scoring this time around, and I think that contributed to how we did so well in the Europa League. So that is where we're going to call it on this FC Magdeburg rebuild. I hope you guys had fun with this series. I know I did. The Bundesliga is so much fun, and if it's a league you haven't tried yet on your own, be sure to give it a shot. It's so much fun. The seasons happen very quick with only 34 games in comparison to most other leagues that have more competitions and more games in the regular season, and is overall just a very fun league to play in. If you haven't already, please leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel. That helps out a lot. I'll be back with another EAFC career mode rebuild challenge, but it'll be in a little while as I'm expecting the birth of my second son soon, so we'll probably have the next series up around Christmas time, so be sure to look out for that. I really appreciate all the views and comments that you've been giving these videos. Thank you guys again so much, and as always, thanks for watching.